And that, my friend, is how you are intentionally creating legendary impact and how you are intentionally creating your legacy far beyond your resume, far beyond your life and your career, so that you leave your footprint on the planet. We are breaking down how to create legendary impact so that you can create the legacy that matters. If you're a seasoned professional in the performing arts industry and you've been in it for a while, then you might be thinking about these things. At some point, every artist, or most artists, if you've been in the industry for any significant amount of time, and most of the people who come to work with me have been in the business for a long time, I actually consider them masterful artists, masters at what they do. They are not worried about whether or not they're going to work again. I think at this point, they're more concerned about the type of work. They're more concerned about the legacy that they're going to leave, the impact. I often hear I have this resume full of credits, and that's all I have to show for all of my hard work, my artistry, my dedication, and my sacrifice. When they come to me, they still have something inside of them that's seeking to be expressed, and something that's greater and bigger than themselves. And that's important to them to create a legendary impact. However big, however small. It's not about necessarily being on the tips of everyone's mouth. It's not even about that. It's about cultivating a legacy, being very intentional. I have 5 steps that I want to share with you today on how to start to cultivate your legendary impact. The people who are really creating legendary impact are being very intentional about leaving something greater than themselves to the planet, and they're being very strategic about it. The first step is cultivating the right mindset. I could talk about this forever and ever, and you probably will hear me talk about this forever and ever. Having the right mindset is everything, right? You cannot outperform your self-image. It never will happen. You cannot outperform or out-earn your self-image. So if your self-image is low, where you're caught in comparisonitis, or you're judging yourself really harshly, or you're not giving yourself permission to be this grander version of yourself, you're riddled with insecurity or self-doubt, any of those things, that is how you view yourself on the inside. Cultivating the right mindset to build a legacy is the first thing you have to do, because to build legendary impact, to create a legacy, you have to tap into your refined radiance. I talk about refined radiance all the time. It's actually one of my pillars in my coaching method, which is called the allure effect. And so refined radiance is about unlocking your magnetism, right? And the only way you can really truly unlock and sustain that is by knowing who you are, loving who you are, accepting who you are, knowing you're worthy of creating legendary impact, knowing you're worthy of being strategic and intentional about creating a legacy. Step number 2 is deciding ahead of time that you're going to lead with tomorrow in mind. So that's where being intentional and strategic comes in mind. And also like what you're willing to do to create your legendary impact. There is some responsibility. You have to take radical responsibility to create a legendary impact, right? You have to say that if it's meant to be, it's up to me. And so when you work at creating your legacy, you have to be thinking and decision making, and it has to be broader and deeper and greater than just where you are right now, where your career is right now, where your personal life is right now. It's got to be bigger than that. So you're always having to think about tomorrow as well. I'm not saying that I'm asking you to divide your attention, but what I am saying is being intentional about the choices and the decisions that you're making with the future and with your legacy in mind. A good example of that is back in the day, I had a really good friend who knows an A-list actor now. He's an A-list actor. He's done a bunch of Broadway shows. He's done a lot of movies. He's been a sex symbol. You would know him, but I'm going to keep his name anonymous because I don't have permission to share this story without keeping it anonymous. So anyway, back in the day, before this person became who he is, he made a decision that he would rather take leading roles at small regional theaters, then to take Broadway ensemble. He made that decision because he was thinking, I want to be seen as a leading man. That is part of my impact. That is part of my legacy, is that I am going to be a leading man. And so the way I'm going to position myself as a leading man is to start now by being very intentional. I'm only going to take lead roles. That means I'll take less money. He made that choice. Smaller theaters, but in the eyes of casting directors and creatives, I am seen as a leading man. And lo and behold, he is a leading man. Sex Symbol was on People's Most Sexiest list several times. Anyway, that's what I mean about having your mind leading with tomorrow in mind, right? So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is clarity. Know your goals. Know your goals. You cannot be specific enough. Understanding that you are co-creating with the universe. You're knowing your goals, but you're also surrendering, right? So here's where I want to go. You're surrendering to how it's going to look and how the process is going to unfold, but you're not surrendering on creating legendary impact. You're not surrendering on creating legacy, but you are surrendering on how it shows up and what it looks like at the end. But knowing your goals, having a clear picture of what your goals are, so you know where to head. As an example, I'll use my life as an example. And it's taken me a while to get here. So have a little bit of patience with yourself if you find yourself in that place, because as I go down my path, things shift and evolve. My legendary impact is to be the leader in live transformational events for the performing arts industry. My legendary impact is to be a thought leader, a change maker, a connector, and a catalyst for positive change for professionals in the performing arts industry. I do that by hosting mastermind dinner parties, live events, retreats, the supper club, coaching one-on-one. I have a few digital products and I have a couple of group coaching programs, but this is my legacy. That is when I have that in mind, when I think about my legendary impact, I have the tomorrow, the future in mind as I'm creating it. And I know where I'm going. I see the path and I take action, which leads me to my next step. Step number 4 is you have to take inspired action. You have to take initiative. You have to start right where you are, even if it feels scary. And so sometimes what I say to my clients, what I ask them to do is, okay, what's the first step you can take? Maybe it's reaching out to somebody. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's buying a book. Maybe it's hiring a coach. Maybe it's, but taking inspired initiative is so important, because if you don't take action, the universe cannot come in and help co-create. You can't sit and wait for the perfect opportunities to unfold. You have to take imperfect, messy action. There's no way around it. But I'm not asking you to take massive action and just knocking down boulders in the sake of taking action. I am asking you to get inspired, go back to your magnetism, go back to your radiance, go back to your, the legacy and the impact that you're here to create, and then ask for inspiration. And then when you get the inspiration, you take action no matter what, and you're going to detach from the outcome. Step number 5 is be prepared to pass your vision on to others. And this is about collaboration. This is about connection. This is about community. This is about creating something that's larger than you. And sometimes our egos get so trapped in our legacy that we feel like we can't share it with anybody. Well, that's not growth. That's not expansion. There's no way that you can get to where you're trying to get to without bringing other people in, without collaborating, without connection. Because when you bring other people, like-minded people who are up to big things, and they want to help bring your vision, your impact, and your legacy to life, it grows, it expands, it becomes more beautiful, more impactful. So be prepared to pass the baton on. Step 1 is to cultivate the right mindset. Step number 2 is to keep the future in mind and being willing to make the decisions that you make now as you keep the future in mind. Step number 3 is to know your goals and also be detached from how it looks in the end. Step number 4 is to take inspired inspired action now. And step number 5 is to be prepared to pass the baton so that you can connect and collaborate, grow, and expand. And that, my friend, is how you are intentionally creating legendary impact and how you are intentionally creating your legacy far beyond your resume, far beyond your life and your career, so that you leave your footprint on the planet. I want to know how you feel about this. I want to hear what your legendary impact is. I want to know what legacy you want to create. I want you to hit something, email me, send a message, DM me. I want to hear it. And if you know somebody that is interested in also creating their own legendary impact that needs to hear this message, I would love it if you would share it. I would love it if you'd review it, positive, of course. I would love it if you like and subscribe. That's it. Bye for now.